Main Quotes presents Marcus Aurelius' secret quotes. Poverty is the mother of crime. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight. That which is not good for the beehive cannot be good for the bees. The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane. Here is the rule to remember in the future, when anything tempts you to be bitter. Not, "This is a misfortune," but to bear this worthily is good fortune. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Anger cannot be dishonest. To understand the true quality of people, you must look into their minds and examine their pursuits and aversions. To the wise, life is a problem. To the fool, a solution. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Tomorrow is nothing. Today is too late. The good lived yesterday. Natural ability without education has more often raised a man to glory and virtue than education without natural ability. Confine yourself to the present. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Death is a release from the impressions of the senses, and from desires that make us their puppets, and from the vagaries of the mind, and from the hard service of the flesh. Such as are your habitual thoughts, such also will be the character of your mind, for the soul is dyed by the thoughts. How much time he saves who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks. Nothing has such power to broaden the mind as the ability to investigate systematically and truly all that comes under thy observation in life. Life is neither good or evil, but only a place for good and evil. Aptitude found in the understanding and is often inherited. Genius, coming from reason and imagination, rarely. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason, which today arm you against the present. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. Do every act of your life as if it were your last. Look back over the past with its changing empires that rose and fell, and you can foresee the future too. Each day provides its own gifts. Execute every act of thy life as though it were thy last. A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions. Time is a sort of river of passing events, and strong is its current. No sooner is a thing brought to sight than it is swept by and another takes its place, and this too will be swept away. What springs from earth dissolves to earth again, and heaven-born things fly to their native seat. I have often wondered how it is that every man loves himself more than all the rest of men, but yet sets less value on his own opinions of himself than on the opinions of others. Nothing happens to any man that he is not formed by nature to bear. Whatever the universal nature assigns to any man at any time is for the good of that man at that time. Begin. To begin is half the work, let half still remain. Again begin this, and thou wilt have finished. Look within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if thou wilt ever dig. We are too much accustomed to attribute to a single cause that which is the product of several, and the majority of our controversies come from that. The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. Be content with what you are and wish not change, nor dread your last day, nor long for it. To live happily is an inward power of the soul. Observe constantly that all things take place by change, and accustom thyself to consider that the nature of the universe loves nothing so much as to change the things which are, and to make new things like them. It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. We ought to do good to others as simply as a horse runs, or a bee makes honey, or a vine bears grapes season after season, without thinking of the grapes it has borne. Let not your mind run on what you lack as much as on what you have already. He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. Because a thing seems difficult for you, do not think it impossible for anyone to accomplish. The universe is transformation. Life is opinion. The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. Everything that happens as it should, and if you observe carefully, you will find this to be so. Adapt yourself to the things among which your lot has been cast, and love sincerely the fellow creatures with whom destiny has ordained that you shall live. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Therefore, guard accordingly, and take care that you entertain no notions unsuitable to virtue and reasonable nature. Our life is what our thoughts make it. A noble man compares and estimates himself by an idea which is higher than himself, and a mean man by one lower than himself. The one produces aspiration, the other ambition, which is the way in which a vulgar man aspires. The only wealth which you will keep forever is the wealth you have given away. Let men see, let them know, a real man who lives as he was meant to live. Perhaps there are none more lazy or more truly ignorant than your everlasting readers. Death, like birth, is a secret of nature. And thou wilt give thyself relief if thou doest every act of thy life as if it were the last. Because your own strength is unequal to the task, do not assume that it is beyond the powers of man. But if anything is within the powers and province of man, believe that it is within your own compass also. Despise not death, but welcome it, for nature wills it like all else. There is nothing happens to any person but what was in his power to go through with. Anything in any way beautiful derives its beauty from itself and asks nothing beyond itself. Praise is no part of it, for nothing is made worse or better by praise. Where a man can live, he can also live well. Men exist for the sake of one another. Let it be your constant method to look into the design of people's actions and see what they would be at as often as it is practicable, and to make this custom the more significant practice at first upon yourself. Forward as occasion offers. Never look around to see whether any shall note it. Be satisfied with success in even the smallest matter, and think that even such a result is no trifle. When thou art above measure angry, bethink thee how momentary is man's life. A man should be upright, not be kept upright. Each thing is of like form from everlasting and comes round again in its cycle. To refrain from imitation is the best revenge. The universal order and the personal order are nothing but different expressions and manifestations of a common underlying principle. Be content to seem what you really are. Everything that exists is in a manner the seed of that which will be. The act of dying is one of the acts of life. Dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them. Death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back. Do not be wise in words. Be wise in deeds. Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours. No one was ever injured by the truth, but he who persists in self-deception and ignorance is injured. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Whenever you are about to find fault with someone, ask yourself the following question: what fault of mine most nearly resembles the one I am about to criticize? A man's true greatness lies in the consciousness of an honest purpose in life, founded on a just estimate of himself and everything else, on frequent self-examinations, and a steady obedience to the rule which he knows to be right, without troubling himself about what others may think or say, or whether they do or do not that which he thinks and says and does. Say to yourself in the early morning, I shall meet today ungrateful, violent, treacherous, envious, uncharitable men. All of these things have come upon them through ignorance of real good and ill. I can neither be harmed by any of them, for no man will involve me in wrong, nor can I be angry with my kinsman or hate him, for we have come into the world to work together. There is but one thing of real value: to cultivate truth and justice, and to live without anger in the midst of lying and unjust men. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Remember that there is a God who desires neither praise nor glory from men created in his image, but rather that they, guided by the understanding given them, should in their actions become like unto him. Why should we feel anger at the world, as if the world would notice? Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never any need to get worked up or to trouble your soul about things you can't control. These things are not asking to be judged by you. Leave them alone. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment.